Tzoras, and I'm the founder of the Areti Goddess events, which is set up to empower women to change our statistics. And once again this week, I wanted to make this live stream about coronavirus because so many of us life all of a sudden, and we're going through so many rapid changes, and change is something that stresses us even more rapid. And so tonight, what I'm going to share with you are some easy tips for anxiety relief, because anxiety is stopping us from, is very debilitating, and it affects us at the best of times. And one thing we can rest easy about at the moment is that here in Australia, at least, the government has eased our stress about paying bills, rents, mortgages, and all of that has been put to a freeze, which I don't know if you watched my video about my guidance on our new era, or the new normal as I'm calling it, recently, that I actually shared. And I actually made that suggestion that just as people had lost their incomes, perhaps the government could set a regulation to put things on hold in terms of payments and bills, etc. And that happened, which is really, really good. And what I've done from my end, apart from doing these YouTube live videos, which I'm committed to do every single week, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And if you like these videos, feel free to share with friends or anyone you think will benefit, and subscribe to the channel perhaps. But what I have created actually with the Areti Goddess events offers that I will put a link to next to nothing for the next 30 days to get you through this difficult time, which is actually also perfect if you've ever thought of something that you'd love to do, and specifically online, to start doing right now, because everything is going online. And I wanted to mention this post that I actually saw on social media, and I've got it down to describe to you because it gives a really, really positive perspective on another way that we can look at things before I delve into anxiety and all the tips to give you relief. And that is that traffic, queues, fuel prices are down. Kids and parents are now together. Fast food is replaced with home-cooked meals. Busy schedules are replaced with naps. The air seems cleaner and the world is quieter. Of course, it's barren because we're all isolated. And we're more conscious about hygiene, health. And for the first time, money isn't making the world go round. So it's time perhaps that we can stop and smell the roses. And it does seem like a little bit of a reset. I absolutely agree with this social media post. I think it's really fantastic. And what I want to share with you that will perhaps help you is that I have been a chronic anxiety sufferer. In fact, I started having panic attacks as a child, and I was once described to be in a permanent state of heightened anxiety. Now, the gift of that was it actually put me on a personal growth and spiritual growth and training journey, which was the biggest gift I could have received, and which is why today I can actually share with you how to overcome your anxiety and panic. And without blame, because uncertainty is very scary. Change is very scary for most of us who are conditioned to perhaps have a full-time job and that routine that I actually call the rat race. And I'm going to say now that Dr. Deepak Chopra whom I admire immensely, says something to the effect of, if you're in a state of uncertainty, you're on the right path. And for those of us who are actors, who are in, or any other contract worker for that matter, who is in and out of work and in uncertainty, we become used to that and we start to feel safe within uncertainty. Because one thing we do know for sure is that everything changes and everything passes. So I was told, Tula, you don't need drugs, because I would be flying and racing all the time, and it did feel really, really uncomfortable, which is why I decided to set on my journey and do something about it, basically because I didn't have a choice. I was suffering from PTSD and I didn't even know it. Okay, now what I will say to you is that the statistics are that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men actually suffer from anxiety, and that's at the best of normal times, okay? So I can't even imagine what the statistics are at the moment. Now, the causes of anxiety, I'm going to go into the causes for you, can include things like family history, our genetics, the environment we grow up in, ongoing stress and duress, chronic health problems, as well as substance use, personality factors. They're some of the causes. And what we can experience in terms of symptoms are things like panic attacks and hyperventilation, or cold flushes, or rapid heartbeats, or obsessive compulsive behavior, and more than anything, negative thinking. Let me tell you something about negative thinking. Our thoughts become our emotions, which in turn into anxiety. Now, I'm going to give you some great news right now, and that is that we can change our mind and we can change our thoughts. And later on in this live, I'm actually going to quote someone who puts it brilliantly. So, as people, we have a fundamental need for safety and security. So what happens when we feel unsafe or anxious or frightened? What happens is we go into our natural fight or flight response, which is programmed into our amygdala at the back of our brain between the ages of 0 and 7 years old. And that, of course, my friends, we all know well. Okay, the fight or flight response. What also happens when we go into that automatic response is we release cortisol. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because there are some easy tips to reduce your cortisol levels. The thing about cortisol is, if you are suffering from anxiety for long periods of times, high levels of cortisol will become destructive to you, and they can actually translate into physical disease and discomfort. Okay, so now that we've gone through all that, I'm going to move through some great tips for you to give you, and they're easy so that they can give you relief and actually reduce your cortisol levels. Okay, so the first one, of course, well, not of course if you don't know it, is when your feelings come up, not to avoid them. So give yourself time to actually sit and feel your feelings. And you can actually talk to your feelings and ask them why you're feeling this way, why it's coming up, what is it trying to do for you, and work with it that way. Of course, that does take a bit of practice and knowledge. But don't deny your feelings, because feeling this way is absolutely natural given the circumstances, okay? The second tip I have for you is to begin breathing exercises which will reduce your cortisol levels. If you've done yoga, which I highly recommend, you will know how to breathe properly. But if you don't know how to breathe properly, and by that, what I mean is abdominal breathing. So you'll notice that when you're stressed, you breathe into your chest like that. Okay, so what we want to do is breathe abdominally into your stomach, your tummy. So you'll notice when you're breathing abdominally, your tummy will rise, and then as you breathe out, your tummy will fall. And the trick is to breathe deeply, counts, before breathing out slowly. Now, you can go one further and actually take a longer out breath than the in breath. So say, for instance, you're using a count. You can count to 4 for your in breath, and then hold for 4, and then start counting to 5 or 6 or 7, however long you can make your out breath. So that's a little trick you can use. I encourage you to practice conscious deep breathing all the time, particularly during these times, because breathing will also stop you overthinking, and it will connect you to your source of inspiration so that you can become resourceful. And it brings you into the moment and makes you feel safe. So one tip I have for you is breathing. Another tip I have for you is meditation. And the thing about meditation is you can actually access loads of meditations either on YouTube or even if you Google them. And if you do come across some guided meditations, they will actually work on reprogramming your cognitive thinking for you. So that's the benefit of those. And added to that, of course, is breathing again, which is crucial. The great thing with these meditations is you can also find meditations that emit frequencies that work subliminally as well, and they're super powerful. So that's my next tip for you is meditation. The next tip I have for you is exercise. The beauty of exercise, now, if you're not crazy about exercise, try 30 minutes a day, go for a nice walk. Even if you can go for a nice walk, that will increase your circulation, increase your oxygen input, and you'll be out in the sun, you'll be getting your vitamin D, which makes you happier. And the beauty of exercise also is that it releases endorphins and makes you feel happy. So that's the beauty of exercise. And again, I'm going to recommend yoga to you because yoga will really put you in your center and make you feel at peace regardless of what is going on around you. So definitely exercise, especially now that most of us are isolated in lockdown. Going out for a walk is something that we can do. So that's a great thing to do at the moment. Now, if you do want to do yoga and you want to follow a class, you're not particularly disciplined, you can actually live stream classes online as well. I love what's happening online at the moment because everyone's doing classes online. It's fantastic. The trick with reducing your cortisol levels overall is to do things that make you feel good, because when you feel good, you feel safe and you feel happy and you're not anxious. Okay, so the next tip I have for you is to listen to inspirational audio material. There are so many speakers who have released audio material for you that you can download and listen to. And one absolutely brilliant audio course that you can listen to is by Don Miguel Ruiz, who is a best-selling author, and he has released the 4 Agreements. Now, if you can listen to those every single day and absorb them on a cellular level, which is the beauty of listening to audio, they will transform absolutely all your relationships and your way of living. Because these particular agreements are agreements that you make with yourself. And the 4 agreements are using the impeccable word, so not speaking badly about yourself or anyone else. The second one is not to take things personally. So knowing what's yours and what is someone else's, especially at this time, because as people are stressed and fearful, lots more people are aggressive and lashing out at each other. So a great thing to do is to know not to take things personally. Okay, the next agreement is not to make assumptions. So basically gathering all your information before making any assumptions. And the fourth agreement is just to do your best, which is what we try to do most of the time. So that's a great audio track to listen to. Another one I can recommend is Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Fantastic. So all of these will put you in a really good mood. Now, there are things that you can do with your diet as well. And on that, what I recommend to you is to actually snack during the day, which will keep your cortisol levels at a stable level and your blood sugar levels as well. You'll notice if you are anxious, you're waking up probably feeling a lot more anxious in the morning, and that's because our blood sugar levels are down as well. So snack during the day, and of course, high levels of anxiety and stress, what do we want to do? We want to smoke, drink, even do drugs, or we want to get into that junk food or eat lots of carbohydrates and comfort food. Believe it or not, that increases your cortisol levels. So they're the things to avoid, okay? They also, for instance, alcohol will increase your depression. It's a depressive. And smoking, you think that smoking will make you feel relaxed, but actually no, it doesn't. It makes you feel more stressed. So there you go. You can actually look up, Google, foods that lower your cortisol levels, but some of them are things like seaweed or whole grain. Chamomile tea is fantastic as well. So avoid those cigarettes, alcohol, and even drugs, if that's your go-to, or junk food. And if you do that, it will really help you. Another thing to do is to drink lots of water, and preferably not tap water that's full of chemicals. So drinking lots of water will actually cleanse your system. It's really, really good for you, and it detoxifies you as well. It's really fantastic. Another tip I have for you is human bonds. Now, many of us have families around us, and this is a really great time to come closer and be with the people you love. If you happen to live alone, like I do, for instance, you can still connect with friends and family and loved ones face-to-face video chatting. It's still a really great connection. Another tip I have for you is to laugh and have fun and enjoy yourself. Listen to great music. If you're feeling anxious, there are 2 types of music you can listen to. You can listen to like motivational dance, let's get up and do it music. But if you're not feeling like that, you can listen to music that might release your emotions, which is a good thing. Okay. The next tip I have for you is good sleep. Now, the thing about anxiety that I want to tell you about is what you go to sleep with, you wake up with. So on that note, what I recommend to you is to start a gratitude journal. Every night before you go to bed, just write down what you're thankful for the day. And even if you've lost a lot at the moment, one thing that I've learned when I got excited at the supermarket finding toilet paper and bleach is just how much we've taken for granted. So the things we do have, we can be grateful for. Now, if you're feeling particularly anxious and down, one thing you can be grateful for is the magical air that you get to breathe and being alive. Okay? Another thing I can recommend to you is on YouTube, you'll find loads of delta frequency meditations to go to sleep. and they put you in a really relaxed state and send you off to sleep. The thing about sleep is our bodies actually regenerate between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. So if you can get to sleep at about 10 p.m., that will be really, really good for you. Have a good sleep and rest up now that you have a chance to. I mean, so many of us being in the rat race long to have a holiday, right? So this is a holiday, especially now that our wages are getting paid and our businesses getting funding, and the government is, well, here in Australia, I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening all around the world, but, you know, at least now, tip I have for you is to journal. So when you wake up in the morning, just download anything that you want to. Don't edit it, don't judge it. Whatever comes out, just download it and release it. The next tip I have for you is the magic of touch. That will also increase your cortisol levels. So get your family to, you know, perhaps you can all give each other massages or even foot rubs. Anything like that is fantastic. Now, the next tip is actually really, really important. While you're feeling anxious, I want you to please avoid exposure to stress. That includes, I'm sorry, but watching the news and the death tally. What is that about? Seriously. So anything that makes you feel anxious and stresses you out, don't watch it, don't listen to it. Even if it's people, like, you know, even calling friends or anything that stresses you out, try to eliminate it and focus on things that make you feel good. If you're suffering from anxiety, and particularly if you're a chronic anxiety sufferer, what I recommend to you is to actually make a commitment, become a prima donna, you know, a diva, make a commitment to do what makes you feel good. Make that commitment to yourself. Now, of course, that takes a healthy self-worth, and that's another matter. The last tip I have for you is to eliminate your limiting beliefs. Now, that is something you do with a coach or you do with someone if you don't know how to do it. And on that note, if you don't know how to do it, you're most welcome to book a free coaching call with me. That is one of the things that I'm offering at the moment. So feel free to book a free coaching call. And the thing about self-worth is it has a lot to do. You'll find that when you build your self-worth, your tendency to be anxious and fearful will also diminish. So that's a really, really good tip. And that, my friends, is, you know, most of those, except for changing or eliminating your limiting beliefs, are actually easy tips to give you anxiety relief at the moment. So I hope that these empower you, and please do put them to good use. You can actually download an article that I wrote that has been published with all of these tips in it, free as well. And it's really, really worthwhile. And as a past anxiety sufferer, I can honestly tell you that it works. More than anything, you need positive reinforcement. So get that from your meditations, get it from audio files that you can download, and work on eliminating your limiting beliefs, okay? Now, to end this YouTube live, I'm going to read a quote about changing our minds, which we can do, and changing our beliefs that I think you're going to find really, really positive. So here we go. The brain is actually a supple, malleable organ, as ready to unlearn as it is to learn, capable of transforming vicious circles into virtuous cycles. of resetting and repairing its internal communications. Far more than once dreamed possible. The brain can, if not always, heal itself. And that's from Dr. Norman Deutsch in his 2007 bestseller, The Brain That Changes Itself. Now, other skills, like feeling gratitude, of course, which we've talked about with your gratitude journal. Also, choosing happiness. Believe it or not, happiness is a choice, and that's not very easy for us when we're in a state of panic and anxiety and fear. However, when you start to work with your cognitive beliefs and thoughts, you can actually make a decision and a choice to choose happiness. All it takes is actually not looking at the negative, but looking at the positive. And it makes us feel really resourceful too, because we're thinking about different alternatives, which is absolutely fantastic. There is no point in trying to recreate or grasp onto the past, because the past is gone. So that is my live session for you, and I'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Wishing you amazing success always. Bye for now.